Hey everyone, it's Vikas from CMF, and I'm here with Adam Green, who you may know as the writer and director of Hatchet and Frozen. He's here to tell us a little bit about his new show on FEARnet called Holliston. So, Adam, tell us a little bit about Holliston.
Holliston is a traditional multi-camera sitcom, so it looks and feels just like Friends, only with random acts of violence. It's about two aspiring horror movie filmmakers who are stuck living in the small town of Holliston, Massachusetts, and it's all about their trials and tribulations of trying to become something more than they are, which I think is something that everybody can relate to. I think most of America is probably working in a job where they feel like it's just a temporary stop on the way to something greater. So the show really encompasses. The show's about that time in your life when you're just fresh out of college and nothing is working out like everybody told you it would. And it also includes, so Adam and Joe, they have love interests. Adam is pining away for his high school sweetheart, Corey, played by Corey English, and Joe is dating a adorable but really creepy aspiring artist named Laura Ortiz. But we've also got Dee Snider from Twisted Sister fame as our cross-dressing, ambiguously gay boss at the cable station that we work at, and Guar's lead singer, Odorous Urungus, as my imaginary friend who lives in my closet. So just like something that you would see on ABC or NBC, except not.
I was actually hoping when you said love interest that you'd be mentioning Dee and Odorous as your love interest, but
that's another show.
Awesome. Well, I saw the really funny promo that you guys had where you and Joe Lynch, you guys pitched the show to FEARnet executives, and they pretty much call themselves idiots for putting your show on the air and everything. Is that kind of how it played out in real life, or like can you tell us the story of how you guys got your show on the FEARnet?
No, in real life it was really FEARnet's idea. When I made Frozen, the producer of that movie, his name is Peter Block, and just about a year and a half ago, Peter became the president of FEARnet, which is a brand new network. A lot of people still think of FEARnet as like a website or an online thing, but they're actually a online, on cable, linear network, and a lot of people already have it in their on-demand section. I think they're in like 26 million homes already. So it's growing very fast, but he needed to figure out what his first original show was going to be. And it was interesting because he didn't want to do what everybody expected him to do, which was like an X-Files type thing, or a Tales from the Crypt, like exactly what you would expect a horror network to do. He wanted to do something outside the box. And he was a big fan of this series of short films that Joe Lynch and I had done together called The Road to Fright Fest, which is just something that we did for fun for a festival in the UK called Fright Fest, where each summer we would do a different short film for each night of the festival, and we would kind of parody a different horror movie. And so I'd had this idea for Holliston around since I made my first movie, Coffee and Donuts, in 1999. And I've always been trying to develop this as a TV series, but for one reason or another, even if it would get set up at a network, it would never actually happen. So this was like perfect timing, and everything really melded together. And I got to make the show that I wanted to make, because like if you sit down with like CBS, as soon as you get to the imaginary alien in the closet or the cross-dressing boss, like the pitch is over. But that clip that you're talking about, we just thought it would be really fun, rather than just showing clips from the show at first, to kind of do this little story arc where we showed everything from the pitch to the casting and like the comedy that comes out of those situations. And I wish I could say it was just because it was funny, but the real reason why we did that is because with a sitcom, you can't show somebody 2 minutes from a sitcom and think that they're going to respond to that. Like, you have to see a few episodes of any sitcom before you're really going to fall in with it and start thinking it's funny. Seinfeld is my favorite sitcom of all time, and I literally hated it the first 3 or 4 times I saw it. I didn't understand why it was funny for people. But once I watched enough of them, then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, I get it now. So rather than show clips, we kind of made these little vignettes that introduced all the characters and introduced the sensibilities and the sense of humor. And I think it was the right way to go because it was very effective. Nobody watched those and was like, I don't want to watch this. Like, people were very intrigued. So by the time we started showing traditional commercials and clips, people knew who everybody was. They knew the sense of humor. and they were excited for it.
Awesome. Really, I guess really quickly, do you know? Can you tell me where, like, what is Holliston from? Like, what does the name come from?
Well, it's actually the name of the town that I grew up in. It's a small town in Massachusetts. It's about 45 minutes out of Boston. We're known for having the world's biggest set of rosary beads, I think. And we also have a cow pie contest every year where they kind of section off the field and they put a cow in the field, and everybody like puts money down on a square, and if the cow poops in that square, you win the money. And I think we have like a strawberry festival, and there was a fire once in like 1971. But other than that, I think that's really all that Holliston had going on until now. So it's great. We just went back there a few weeks ago to show the TV show to the town, and it was this really humble little screening at the town hall, like setting up folding chairs and a little screen, and you do all these like fancy kind of posh Hollywood premieres and screenings, and it was very cool and humbling to go back and do something that felt like putting on a show in your grandmother's barn. And the whole town came out for it, and driving out of town the next day, like all the little stores had like signs in their windows like saying like good luck Adam, Joe, Corey, and Laura and stuff like that. And I mean they're so fired up about it. I think the cover of the Boston Herald today, it says like Holliston's hero and has a picture of me. But it is a real town, and hopefully the show takes off enough that some people actually go there to see it and go to the places that we hang out in on the show. They might be a little disappointed because the insides of the places don't look like they do on the show. It's kind of like Cheers. Like everybody always wanted to go to Cheers, and then when they'd get inside, they'd be like, "This doesn't look like the show." That's sort of what we have going on too.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go visit just to see one of those cow pie contests myself.
It's amazing. You haven't lived until you've seen that.
Well, let's go back to some of your guest stars. Namely Oderus Ungerus and Dee Snider and Tony Todd. Are there any other guest stars that we can look forward to?
There's so many. There's one huge one in episode 5 that we're not allowed to talk about until the week that it airs. But it's definitely somebody that everybody knows. It's an A-list movie star, so we're very grateful to have had him. But we also have Kane Hodder, who people know from Friday the 13th and Hatchet, and we have John Landis, who is one of my favorite directors growing up, American Werewolf in London, Trading Places, everything. Awesome. We have Danielle Harris from the Halloween and the Hatchet movies, Bill Moseley, who a lot of people know from Rob Zombie's movies and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Brian Posehn from the Sarah Silverman Show, Derek Mears, who is the new Jason in the new Friday the 13th. There's so many of them, which was one of the benefits to being able to do extended length episodes. We didn't have to stick to 22 minutes, even though it looks like the traditional half-hour sitcom. Our episodes are actually like 35 or 40 minutes long before commercials, and that was the benefit of being the only show on a brand new network. We had a blank slate, so we got to add more guest stars, more jokes, and really develop the characters in these first 6 episodes.
That's awesome. You'll have those same 7-minute at a time limitations that most sitcoms do. So that's it must be nice having that freedom.
Yeah, I hope it keeps up. I don't know what the plan is for future seasons, if we're going to go to the traditional 22-minute formula or if we're going to keep doing this. So I guess it sort of depends on what the reaction is. I know if you don't know that it's going to be that long, it's definitely a little weird, because right when it seems like everything should be wrapping up in the traditional sitcom world, like it's just getting started sometimes. But audiences have really appreciated the length because there's more jokes and because things are just much more developed. Usually with a sitcom, it's a very simple situation and everything has to revolve around that storyline. But with this, we would get to go off on tangents or cutaways or things that didn't necessarily service the story, but that service the characters and that service the world and the tone. And so we're very lucky to have that. I've talked to some showrunners of major network shows, and it's funny how angry they get about it, because they're like, if I had that kind of time, I could do that too. It's not fair. Like, I don't get that kind of time. Like, It's not fair. Like, I'm on a network that nobody knows exists, dude. Like, you're on NBC. Like, let's talk about fair here.
Well, so you did mention this is a sitcom. It's not your normal sitcom. It has a lot of horror playing into it as well. Can you tell us how that, like, how horror plays a role in your sitcom?
Well, the two main characters are trying to be horror movie filmmakers. They host a late night horror movie marathon on this local cable station. There's a lot of the references, the guest stars, like, it all comes from the horror world, but it is accessible to people even if you don't like horror movies. Like, there's nothing scary about the show. There's nothing disturbing, and even the violence, because the show is very violent at times. It's cartoonish and silly, and you're laughing at it. So we've shown this to everybody from like 12-year-olds to senior citizens, and they're all laughing at it, and they all like it. Even if they don't get, like, for instance, our hamster is named Horace Pinker. Like, if you've seen Shocker, you know Horace Pinker is the killer in Shocker. But even if you've never seen Shocker, the name Horace Pinker is still funny for a hamster. So they're laughing even if they don't know what they're laughing at. And but, you know, really at the base of it, it is a traditional sitcom, and there's a lot of heart to all of it. The main message of the show is that no matter where you are in life, when the doors are slamming and it's not working out, as long as you don't let that change who you are, and as long as you keep getting up and fighting and believing, it will get better. And I know that's easy to say, being on the other side of it. Like, now I have a successful movie career, and I'm happily married, and things did work out. And maybe some people would say that's why I can look back at this time and make fun of it so much, because it's not funny when you're going through it. But you have to be able to laugh at it. You have to be able to laugh at how shitty your situation is, especially, you know, speaking to college kids. Like, when you're in college, you're in this bubble, and it's like, yeah, I'm in college, and at some point I'm going to graduate in the real world, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it doesn't work like that. You don't graduate and everyone comes running to you with a job, and then, oh, by the way, here's the man or the woman that you're going to marry, and here's your house, and you're like, it doesn't work out like that. Especially nowadays, when a college degree is about as useful as a high school degree. So it's been really, really fun to watch the way that crowd has responded. Last night, we screened the show at the USC campus, and the Q&A wasn't about, how did you explode that head, or that was really funny with the monster in the closet. It was, all the questions were about the struggle and the heart and how touched they were by it, even though they were laughing out loud through the whole thing. So I hope it works, and I hope people go out of their way to try to find it and stick with it, because I think it's going to mean a lot to a lot of people. And I say that because if this had been around when I was going through that, it would have been my favorite show ever, and I wouldn't have missed one, because it speaks to me.
Well, that's pretty inspiring. Well, what we do at Campus Movie Fest, we actually travel around the nation and overseas as well, and we pretty much loan out film equipment for students who either are looking to get into film or have never thought about it in their lives before. We pretty much give them film equipment for a week, let them make whatever they want, and take all the movies back and have kind of a Oscar night for them. And then at the end of the year, we have like a whole best of the best screening with workshops and a huge red carpet award show and everything. And that's kind of
that's amazing.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how we play in the whole film industry, and we have a lot of filmmakers who do watch what we do and keep up with some of these interviews that we're doing, like the one we're doing with you. So we were just trying to figure out if you have any advice for those filmmakers who are just getting out of college and looking to pretty much get to where you are.
Well, the first piece of advice, and this always sounds like I'm trying to sell something, I'm not, but if you watch the DVDs for my movies, especially Hatchet and Grace and Frozen, those three especially, we go to great lengths to make sure that the special features are not the typical special features, which are just clips from the movie and the cast talking about how fun it was. Like, we talk about how we actually raised the money, how we actually made the movie. And a lot of independent movies don't do that. They don't admit how they raise their money, and that's the big gray area for somebody who wants to break into this. Like, you go through the process of submitting your script to the major studios and stuff, and they don't get back to you, or they all reject you, and then they give up because they're like, well, I don't have the money to make a movie. That's a bullshit excuse in this day and age. There is no, like, people are making movies on their iPhones now. You just need a good idea and a good execution. And you look at things like the Blair Witch Project or Paranormal Activity, and yeah, they're flukes in a way because it's not going to work for everybody, but they were genius ideas that were well executed, and they made them for no money. It's not about the budget and the money. It's about what you can do. So I always try to say to people, like, look at me. Like, I came from a town with cows and chickens, and as we discussed, cow pie contest. My dad was a gym teacher. We had no money at all. Actually, my dad was a gym teacher during the day, a karate instructor at night, and a shoe salesman on the weekends. That man worked 7 days a week for 28 years just to be able to provide for his lower middle class family. Like, if I didn't come from Hollywood royalty, I didn't have any connections, but I found a way, and the audience found me. And you can do it too. You can't just let all the rejections and the negative reviews and it's all bullshit. The only thing that matters is you and who you are and what you can do. And if I can do it, you can do it too. So shoot short films, make little things for YouTube. I still do it. Even though I have movies in theaters, I make short films every Halloween. And some of them, like Saber or Jack Chop, millions and millions of views. And then that's what brought people to finding my features. And these are just little 2-minute vignettes that I made and put them on YouTube. It was free. They cost absolutely nothing. And it's not like people found them because, oh, I'm Adam Green and I have a following. They just found them because they were funny. So just do it. Get out there and do it, and let everybody else around you complain and get bitter and disenchanted, and leave them in your dust and just keep going.
That's awesome, man. Amen. I guess we can close it with anything else that you'd like to tell us about Holliston in general. Any last words about it, or anything you want to say about it?
Well, it's the most important thing I've ever done. It's the most personal thing. It's my real life put out on display. It was a very brave and bold move. Even like some of my representation, my managers, my lawyers, they were concerned at first. They're like, do you realize what you're putting yourself out there for? And yeah, I do, but I believe in it, and I'm happy to show myself at my lowest points and make fun of it, because I know that there's other people out there going through it, and they're going to relate to it, and hopefully each week that they watch the show, they attack the next week of their life with a little bit more like piss and vigor, and realize like that it can be done. So I really, really hope people go out of their way to watch it. We don't have millions of dollars in marketing. We're not on a huge network like NBC. So people are going to have to look for it. They're going to have to find it. Like, look for FEARnet in your lineup. If you don't have it, call your cable provider and ask for it. That does work. Just last week, Time Warner Cable in Southern California and Cox Cable in Arizona both added it simply because fans demanded it. So it does work, and it's growing fast. And if you can't get it, then watch it on iTunes. It'll be on iTunes like 24 hours after it airs. But whatever you do, do not BitTorrent my fucking show. Don't steal it. Like, this, we didn't do this for the money. Like, we all have everything riding on this. And when you click that button and you steal it, you're fucking all of us, and you're destroying the industry. I know there's this entitlement to younger people where, why should I pay for it? I'm going to stick it to the man. Why should I pay for something if I can steal it? You wouldn't walk into Best Buy and walk out with a DVD to sample it before you decided if you were going to buy it. You only steal it because you think you're not going to get caught, and you're hurting real people like me, like the stunt people that put their lives on the line. It's a broken record argument, but don't BitTorrent my show, please. Just watch it on iTunes. It's like 99 cents or $1. You can afford it. Have one less beer tomorrow night at the bar and watch my show the legal way.
Awesome. I love it. And just to confirm, it does air on Tuesday nights on FEARnet at 10 p.m.?
10:30 p.m. Eastern and 7:30 p.m. Pacific.
10:30 p.m. Eastern. Got it. Well, great. Adam, thanks a lot for joining us, and I wish you the best of luck for the season. Hope to see more and more seasons come. And
thank you, and thank you so much for what you're doing to try to help the cause. I know you're doing it out of the generosity of your hearts, so it means so much to all of us, and we're so grateful.
Yeah, well, good luck with the premiere tonight, and have a good day.
Thanks. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye. Thank you.